The restaurant breathed with its usual evening rhythm, soft jazz humming from hidden speakers, silverware chiming gently against porcelain, and the low murmur of conversations blending into a comforting blur. Lily stood behind the service counter, fingers nervously twisting the corner of her pale blue apron. She had been working here for nearly 2 years, yet nights like this still made her chest tighten. She preferred predictability, regular customers, familiar orders, quiet shifts where she could move like a shadow and leave no trace behind. Tonight was different. Her manager had leaned in close earlier, voice sharp with urgency, and whispered that a VIP guest was arriving. A billionaire, apparently. The word alone had sent a ripple of tension through the staff. Everyone straightened their backs, checked their uniforms twice, practiced smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. Lily nodded along with the instructions, but her thoughts drifted elsewhere. Wealth had never impressed her. She had grown up with very little, and she knew money changed the room more than it changed people. When the door opened and the group entered, Lily noticed them immediately, not because of their tailored suits or the way other diners subtly glanced their way, but because of the older man walking among them. He moved carefully, his steps measured, as if the world required extra attention to navigate. His hair was silver, neatly combed, his expression polite yet distant. While the others spoke and laughed, he watched quietly, eyes flicking from mouth to mouth. Lily felt a familiar tightening in her chest. Recognition. As the host led them to a corner table, the clatter of chairs and greetings filled the air, but the older man did not react to the sound. He smiled a beat too late, nodding when others nodded. Lily's breath caught. She had seen this before, lived with it, grown up inside it. He's deaf, she thought, certainty settling over her like a memory. Her hands stilled. For a moment, she simply stood there, the noise of the restaurant fading as something older and deeper stirred within her. Images flashed in her mind, her mother's hands moving gracefully in the air, the warmth of eye contact, the way silence could still be full of meaning. Lily had learned early that communication wasn't about sound, it was about care. She watched as another waiter approached the table, greeting them loudly, overly cheerful. The billionaire responded smoothly, but the older man only smiled vaguely, clearly missing most of what was said. Lily noticed the slight slump in his shoulders, so subtle others would miss it. That quiet resignation, the kind that came from a lifetime of being present but not included. Without fully realizing it, Lily stepped forward. Her heart pounded as she approached the table. She was shy, always afraid of doing the wrong thing, afraid of drawing attention. But something stronger than fear guided her now. When she reached the table, the billionaire began to speak, likely intending to order for everyone. Lily lifted her hand gently, not interrupting, just pausing the moment. She turned her body toward the elderly man, ensuring he could clearly see her face and hands. Her smile was soft, genuine, a little nervous. Then her hands moved. "Welcome, I'm Lily. I'll be taking care of you tonight." The old man blinked. For a split second, confusion crossed his face, then disbelief. His eyes widened, and his breath hitched as if the air itself had surprised him. His spoon froze mid-motion, hovering above the table. Time seemed to slow, stretching that moment thin. Lily continued, her hands steady now. "How are you feeling this evening?" The old man's lips parted. His eyes shone suddenly, bright with emotion. Slowly, almost reverently, his hands rose to reply. "You speak sign language?" Lily nodded, her cheeks warming. "Yes." Around them, the table had fallen silent. The billionaire stopped mid-sentence, his confident expression cracking into surprise. One of the companions leaned back slightly, watching with open curiosity. Nearby diners glanced over, sensing something unusual in the air, something quiet yet powerful unfolding through movement alone. The old man laughed, a soft, breathy sound that escaped without warning. It was filled with joy, the kind that bubbles up when you least expect it. He signed again, quicker now, hands trembling faintly. "It's been so long since someone greeted me first." The words struck Lily deeper than she expected. Her throat tightened, but she kept her expression calm, respectful. "I'm glad I could," she signed. "Please let me know if you need anything." He studied her carefully, as if memorizing her face. Then his gaze softened. "How did you learn?" The question carried weight, not idle curiosity. Lily hesitated only a moment. "My mother was deaf," she signed. "She taught me when I was very young." Something changed in his expression. A shadow of memory passed through his eyes, followed by a warmth that felt almost tender. He reached out slowly, touching Lily's wrist, not gripping, just resting his fingers there for a heartbeat, a gesture full of gratitude and recognition. Thank you, he signed. Lily felt her eyes sting, but she blinked the feeling away. The billionaire finally found his voice. Dad, he said quietly, confused. What's going on? The old man turned slightly, still smiling, and signed something Lily didn't catch fully, his hands moving with fond emphasis. The billionaire watched helplessly, unable to understand, his polished confidence replaced by uncertainty. She's speaking to him, one of the companions murmured, astonished. Lily stepped back half a pace, suddenly aware of the attention she'd drawn. Old habits tugged at her, apologize, retreat, disappear. But the old man wasn't finished. He signed again, gently insisting. Please, stay, talk with me. Lily nodded. As she took the drink orders, she signed each question carefully, ensuring the old man followed every part of the conversation. He responded eagerly, engaged in a way that felt rare, precious. With each exchange, his posture straightened, his presence growing stronger, as if being seen had physically restored him. The billionaire watched closely now. He said little, eyes moving between Lily's hands and his father's animated responses. Something unreadable flickered across his face, surprise, perhaps, or guilt. When Lily finished and prepared to leave the table, the old man signed one last thing before she stepped away. You made this evening different already. Lily smiled, her shyness returning in a gentle wave. She nodded once and retreated toward the counter, heart racing. Behind her, the restaurant noise resumed, but it no longer felt the same. Something had shifted, quietly and irrevocably. And Lily, the shy waitress who usually blended into the background, had unknowingly stepped into the center of a story far bigger than herself. Lily returned to the table with a tray balanced carefully on her palm, the polished glasses catching the warm glow of the overhead lights. Her steps were measured, but inside she felt unsteady, as if the ground beneath her had subtly changed. She was no longer just delivering food, she was carrying a connection that had already begun to matter more than she expected. As she set each glass down, she angled her body so the elderly man could clearly see her hands. He watched her attentively, smiling even before she signed. Did you choose the herbal tea? She asked gently. He nodded and replied with an enthusiastic yes, adding a small joke about how his doctor trusted tea more than medicine. Lily laughed silently, her shoulders relaxing. Their exchange felt natural, effortless, like slipping into a language her heart already knew. Around them, the others spoke aloud, but the table seemed divided into two worlds, one loud, one beautifully quiet. As the courses arrived, Lily stayed close, signing descriptions of each dish. The old man listened with complete focus, asking questions, commenting on flavors he hadn't yet tasted. With every interaction, his face grew more animated. The slight weariness Lily had noticed earlier was gone, replaced by a lively curiosity that made him look younger. Between bites, he signed more slowly, his movements thoughtful. Most places assume my son will speak for me. Lily paused, then answered carefully. Does that bother you? He nodded, a small, resigned motion. He loves me, of course. But love sometimes forgets to listen. The words lingered in the air between them. Lily understood them in a way that felt almost painful. She signed back, her hands steady but her eyes soft. My mother used to say that silence isn't emptiness. Being ignored is. The old man inhaled sharply. His hands stilled, resting against the tablecloth. For a moment, he simply looked at her, as if weighing something deeply personal. Then he turned his head toward his son. He signed deliberately, ensuring his movements were clear enough to be followed. She says being ignored hurts more than silence. The billionaire leaned forward, watching closely. He tried to follow the gestures, his brow furrowing. When he realized he couldn't, he looked up at Lily. What did he say? He asked quietly. Lily hesitated, glancing at the old man. He nodded once, giving permission. She repeated the message aloud. The billionaire's confident posture softened. He sat back, the words sinking in. A long silence followed, this time not empty, but heavy with reflection. I didn't know you felt that way, the billionaire said to his father, his voice lower than before. The old man reached across the table and placed his hand over his son's, squeezing gently. He signed something shorter now, kinder. You know now. Dinner continued, but the atmosphere had changed. The billionaire asked Lily to translate more often, no longer assuming, no longer rushing ahead. He watched his father's face when Lily signed, noticing how alive he looked, how engaged. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a part of his father he had forgotten existed. When dessert arrived, Lily brought a small chocolate tart, carefully placing it in front of the old man. His eyes lit up, and he signed with playful delight. You remembered. She smiled. Of course. He took a bite, savoring it, then signed again, slower this time. It's been years since someone spoke to me like this in public. Not as a burden, not as a problem to solve. Just, as a person. Lily felt a tightness in her chest. She signed back, her movements gentle. You deserve that. Everyone does. The old man's eyes glistened. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. He slid it across the table toward Lily. She leaned closer and saw a younger version of him standing beside a woman whose hands were mid-sign, her smile bright and confident. That's my wife, he signed. She was deaf too. Lily's breath caught. She passed away many years ago, he continued. After that, the world became very quiet. Not because I couldn't hear, but because fewer people tried to speak. Lily swallowed hard. She touched the edge of the photograph with care. She looks kind, Lily signed. She was, he replied. You remind me of her. The words landed softly, yet they carried immense weight. Lily felt tears prick her eyes, but she didn't look away. She had learned long ago that emotion didn't weaken communication, it deepened it. The billionaire cleared his throat. Dad, he said gently, thank you for telling me. He turned to Lily. And thank you, for showing me what I missed. He reached into his wallet and placed a folded card on the table. Lily assumed it was a tip and tried to politely refuse, shaking her head. But he pushed it toward her with a small, insistent smile. Please, he said, just read it later. When the table finally prepared to leave, the old man stood slowly. He faced Lily fully, signing one last time, his hands calm and sure. Tonight, you gave me something priceless. You spoke to me, not around me. Lily nodded, unable to find words, spoken or signed, that felt sufficient. As they walked away, Lily unfolded the card. Inside was a handwritten note, neat and deliberate, followed by a formal offer. The billionaire wanted her to work as his father's personal assistant and interpreter. Training included, flexible hours, a future she had never imagined for herself. Lily stared at the words, stunned. She looked up just in time to see the old man glance back. He smiled and lifted his hand in a small farewell sign. Thank you. The restaurant noise rushed back in around her, but Lily stood still, heart pounding. For the first time, she understood that her quiet gift, once something she kept hidden, wasn't small at all. It had the power to change lives. And tonight, it had changed hers too.